I made a full stream about this yesterday, but I forgot to press record on OBS, so this is gonna be a re-record. If you've been following me for the past few years, you've probably heard of the big sad phase I went through. I wasn't depressed, I was just really sad and cried a lot. Turkey is a nice country, especially for tourism. I definitely recommend visiting it at least once if you're into culture and history. There's just so much that you can't find anywhere else. But respectfully, my experiences of living there have mostly been negative. I won't elaborate into details because that could be a whole other 4-hour long stream. Basically, I wasn't happy with the environment I was living in to the point where going outside would fill me with nothing but anger and sadness. I thought that moving out from my parents' house would fix the issue, but it didn't. And after realizing that it's basically going to be the same no matter which town or which city I move into, I became unhealthily hyperfixated on getting out. My mind kind of just shut down and went into the work yourself until you either die or can afford to leave mode. So that's what I did, which was very stupid, but at the time I didn't have the mental headspace to comprehend that. I spent 2 years in complete isolation. The only times I would leave my house was once every 2 to 3 months to go visit my parents for a day, or if I had a vet visit for my cats. And this was after the global virus. I was under absolutely no obligation to do this. All my shutters were always closed, except for the one in my kitchen. It was completely dark. I lived like a vampire. The only source of light in my house came from my laptop and drawing tablet. It was a pretty nice looking apartment, very well made and had some nice features. But I bought no furniture. None. Well, except for the absolute main essentials. My bedroom was literally just a big empty room with a mattress on the floor. Like I said, I was focused on saving every possible penny I could to get out. I don't understand the logic I had behind that decision, because it could have costed less than $100 to turn this into a beautiful livable home. I'm not exaggerating, the apartment itself was $300. The point being, I lived in an empty dark box that I was committed to not leave until I accomplished my goals. If I needed groceries, I would just have them delivered to my house. I did not set foot outside ever. As you would expect, doing this did a lot of damage to me physically. My stamina got lowered so badly that I need to catch my breath when I walk more than 30 meters. I was underweight and developed skin problems, and no matter how much sleep I got, I was always tired, stressed, and overwhelmed. I also suffered from a lot of vitamin deficiencies, specifically with D, B12, and iron. But physical things aside, it also did a lot of damage to me psychologically. I developed severe social anxiety and basically forgot how to speak. I realized this when, before I moved to Germany, I started to feel a lot better enough to go to the grocery store in person for the first time in months, maybe even years, I don't really remember. And when I was at the checkout, the cashier asked me, "Do you need a bag?" And my brain kind of lagged because I opened my mouth and nothing comes out. After a few seconds, I managed to mutter a small, "Yes, please." In English! We were in Turkey! The cashier was speaking to me in Turkish, and I replied in English! She looked confused, but nodded and smiled. Before leaving, I tried to say thank you. Keep in mind, I lived in Turkey long enough to learn the language fluently. I spoke, read, and wrote maybe even a little better than the average Turkish resident. But instead of saying
Teşekkürler.
I said tissue cure layer. Now you might be thinking, oh Kaitlyn, you didn't forget how to speak, you just forgot the language. No, when I'm with my parents or my boyfriend, I can speak okay. Not as good as I used to, but I can still pass for a pretty normal human. But put me in front of anyone else and watch me malfunction. I start mixing up random words, slur my sentences, stutter, and sometimes in the middle of telling a story, my brain will just freeze and shut down. This has happened to me multiple times on stream, which is really embarrassing, especially when there's hundreds of viewers with all of their attention on me. This isolation is something I did to myself to protect my sanity, but it did a lot of damage to me as a person. The biggest one being my conversational skills. I used to be a very well-spoken person, believe it or not. I'd often get compliments on how people could listen to me talk for hours without getting bored. And now I'm like this. Whether I like it or not, I want to talk. I just don't know how to do it anymore. I thought it would be easier for me if I streamed because I'm not face to face with anyone. I just have to sit in front of a screen, read chat, and talk into the mic. I was very, very wrong. For the first stream I ever did, aka the 1 million sub stream, 15 minutes before I went live, I looked at the chat and realized how many people were going to watch me, and I started bawling my eyes out. Not, oh, I'm so nervous. Just straight up. I went into panic attack mode. I was hyperventilating, I was crying, and I contemplated making a community post to cancel the stream. But thankfully, Levy managed to calm me down. But I was still shaking uncontrollably, and when the countdown hit 0, I felt like my heart was going to explode. I don't cry anymore, but I still get very scared before each stream, and for the first 10 minutes, it's painfully obvious that I'm struggling. And I hope the people who watch me won't get tired of that and are willing to be patient with me as I grow.